Candle the house on Devil's Acre. Won the offer. It was a deal too good to ignore. When Claire and David Thompson saw the listing online, their jaws dropped. A 2-story Victorian house in the heart of rural Pennsylvania, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a big backyard, and a barn. The price, $68,000. It was a tenth of what it should have cost. "We'd be stupid not to," David muttered, scrolling through the photos. "This could be our escape." Claire, 7 months pregnant, smiled. After years of working dead-end jobs in Philadelphia, they dreamed of quiet nights, fresh air, and space for their unborn son. There was just one catch. The house sat on Devil's Acre. The name meant nothing to them. Locals in the sleepy town of Mill Hollow spoke of the place in hushed tones, but the Thompsons, hardened by city life, laughed it off. They closed on the house in less than 2 weeks. First night. The house creaked like it was exhaling a long-held breath when they unlocked the front door. Dust hung in shafts of dying sunlight. Cobwebs stretched between the ornate crown moldings. The floorboards groaned beneath their feet like they were being walked for the first time in years. The power had already been turned on, but when David flipped the switch, only half the lights came on. The others flickered or buzzed weakly, like something fought to keep them off. That night, Claire woke to the sound of a child crying. She sat up in bed, heart racing. The sound wasn't coming from the street or a neighbor's house. It was inside, muffled and distant, like it was echoing through the walls. She shook David awake. "Do you hear that?" He listened. "Nothing." "You're tired, babe. Pregnancy dreams," he whispered, pulling her back to bed. Claire didn't sleep the rest of the night. The warning. 3 days after moving in, they met Mrs. Albright, the next-door neighbor, an 82-year-old woman who wore a sun hat and carried a tiny dog named Buttons. She didn't smile. "You shouldn't be here," she said without greeting. David blinked, sorry. "The house doesn't belong to you. It belongs to them." Claire stepped forward. "Who?" Mrs. Albright glanced at the house, then back at them. "You'll see," she said softly and shuffled away. 4 blood in the pipes. On the 5th day, David turned on the faucet and brown water gushed out, dark, muddy, with a metallic stench. When Claire tried the upstairs shower, she screamed. The water was red, thick, sticky. David checked the pipes in the basement. The plumbing looked new, recently installed. But the walls, they were smeared with what looked like handprints, tiny, child-sized, pressed into the concrete. "Rats," David muttered, though he didn't believe it. Claire didn't speak for hours. That night, she swore she heard scratching behind the walls. David heard it too. The barn. The barn at the edge of the property had always been locked. David found the key behind a loose board in the kitchen. Inside was darkness and dust. Tools rusted on the walls. Animal cages lined the far end, still stained with dried blood. A crucifix hung upside down above an old mattress in the corner. Claire stared at it, eyes wide. "What is this?" David stepped closer to the mattress. That's when he noticed something carved into the wood above it. Letters scratched deep into the beam with a knife. "I hear them in the walls." The boy. One night, Claire screamed so loudly David nearly fell out of bed. "There was a boy," she gasped, clutching her belly, "standing in the hallway." David rushed outside with a bat. Nothing. But the baby monitor crackled to life in the next room, static, then soft giggling, then a whisper. "Can I hold him?" David threw the monitor across the room. It shattered into pieces. The next morning, David found tiny wet footprints leading from the nursery to the hall, child-sized, barefoot. They didn't have any children. Not yet. 7 History unearthed. David went to the Mill Hollow Library, desperate for answers. He found an old newspaper article from 1963. 5 children vanished from orphanage on Devil's Acre. The article claimed the house had once been a foster home run by a Reverend Mathers, a man known for his strict discipline and unorthodox punishments. After the children disappeared, the home was shut down. Mathers was never found. Locals believed he had gone mad and sacrificed the children, burying them somewhere on the property. No bodies were ever recovered. 8 Claire changes. Over the next week, Claire grew distant. She started talking to herself, whispering to the baby inside her belly. "I know you're here," she murmured one night, staring into the corner of their bedroom. "I'll protect him." David grabbed her shoulders. "Claire, who are you talking to?" She turned, eyes glassy. "He said they want our son, but if I give them something else, they'll leave us alone." David's blood went cold. That night he found her in the barn, holding a kitchen knife. 9 The deal. Claire didn't remember anything the next morning. David packed bags. He'd had enough. As he loaded them into the car, he felt something, like a breath, on the back of his neck. He turned. No one. Suddenly the engine wouldn't start. The battery was dead. His phone too. They were trapped. That night the walls groaned and moaned, like the house was alive. Claire sat in the nursery, humming to her unborn child, rocking in a chair that had never been there before. David heard children laughing, running upstairs. When he opened the door, nothing. Only handprints on the walls, glowing faintly in the dark. 10 The birth. Claire went into labor 3 weeks early. No signal, no help. David delivered the baby himself. But something was wrong. As he held the baby in his arms, the room went ice cold. The temperature dropped so fast the windows fogged. Claire looked up, pale and weak. "Give him to me." From behind David he heard footsteps, barefoot, many of them, tiny, coming from every corner of the house. The baby screamed. The house shook. The lights flickered and went out. In the pitch dark he saw eyes, dozens of glowing, childlike eyes, watching him from the shadows. Then silence. 11 The fire. Neighbors reported the fire around 3:12 a.m. When fire crews arrived, the house was fully engulfed. No screams, no movement, just roaring flames. Later that morning, investigators found the burned remains of David and Claire in the nursery. But strangely, no infant body was found. Just a burned mattress and 5 small sets of child-sized bones, carefully arranged in a circle around the crib. 12 Epilogue. 6 months later, the house was rebuilt and listed again. Fresh paint, new walls, modern appliances. The ad read, "Charming countryside home on a quiet acre, family-friendly, historic charm." The price, $68,000. Ghost the end.